tariffs, Mr. Secretary? No, answer the questions I asked, please. I only have 5 minutes. Who pays tariffs?
Sorry, well...
Who pays tariffs?
Sorry.
Mr. Secretary, please.
Excuse me.
The question is very simply, who pays tariffs, Mr. Chairman? I'd like him to answer that question.
Well...
He wants to answer other questions.
Well, Congressman, if the... Congressman, if the exporters, they dislike tariffs so much, why wouldn't they, if... I think what you're trying to get me to say...
Did you remember the question? I'm not sure you did. Who pays tariffs?
It's a very complicated question.
Reclaiming my time. People pay tariffs, right? Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Reclaiming my time. You clearly aren't going to answer. I'm not going to waste my time having you go, Mr. Secretary, reclaiming... Mr. Chairman, I asked reclaiming my time, so I'll ask one more time. Who pays tariffs?
Sir, the history would show that it is a complicated mix of who pays the tariffs over various times.
So that's exactly the problem. If your answer, and you are a very educated person, you have a very impressive bio, cannot answer the question who pays tariffs because you won't answer that, and you say it's a complicated issue. It's not complicated. Consumers pay Trump's tariff tax. That's the reality.
Who pays the tariffs? The Chinese government pays the tariff.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
I'm an importer and exporter for 20 years. When a product comes into the U.S., there's something called a tariff sheet.
Okay.
I, as the buyer of that product, follow U.S. law and pay the tariff. I'm an American citizen, an American taxpayer. I pay that tariff to the U.S. government, and that increase in the cost I then sell to you for a higher price because I've got to cover that tariff.
Then what about...
There is
then
no...
when you say our tariffs are higher when they go overseas as opposed to theirs coming here?
Tariffs are never a zero-sum game. Tariffs are a tool. For example, you might say, you want to sell us your beans.
Yeah.
We are going to give you a low tariff if you buy our corn. But the cost of the tariff is ultimately always borne by the consumer.
Don't you think at the end of the day there may be more competition within the market of the U.S. government?
You're confusing the question. This is not a question of competition. The point we're discussing is who bears the cost of the tariff.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you if it's good policy for the U.S. government to tax beans and for the Chinese government to tariff corn. But what I can absolutely assure you is that a product that comes into the U.S. is paid for by a U.S. company, and the increased cost of that is borne by all of us. I am an importer and exporter. I do it for a living.
Okay. Then what's the alternative if at one point in our country's history was tariffs that paid for our economy?
Tariffs don't pay for your economy.
But they did. We didn't have income taxes before.
That was before we had municipal infrastructure.
Correct. My understanding is that the tariff is lopsided to benefit other countries as opposed to ours. The suggestion is just to bring it up to make it equal.
That's why you have free trade agreements,
Right.
But it doesn't mean that even within the free trade agreement there are not tariffs. If there's one thing you should take away from this extended conversation is that you are always paying the tariff.
You know what? I'm not educated in that. Fair enough.
Yes.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Is getting even more expensive. Tariffs and the escalating trade war between the U.S. and China are driving up prices on baby products. That's putting both small business owner Elizabeth Mann and her customers in a tough spot.
We're first-time parents, so there's a lot of unknowns already with that, and then this just introduces that much higher of a degree of unknowns.
All of these boxes, for the most part, are orders that people placed in anticipation of these increased prices.
Inside Mann's store, Three Littles in Washington, D.C., parents-to-be are now rushing in to try and beat price hikes.
I think all expectant parents right now are panic buying some of their big purchases. We also kind of sped up the purchase of a crib and like a rocking chair, and as well as the car seat.
Products arriving from China are hit with a 145% tax at the border. 97% of strollers are made there.
There aren't very many products that are made exclusively in the United States, and even products that are made in the United States rely on global manufacturing for production or for their materials that they're packaging things in or shipping materials.
Those tariffs are now forcing prices to rise, something that Mann says she has little control over. It's the manufacturers that set the suggested retail prices.
I feel like we're trying to cut back a bit on everything just because it's not clear how long this is going to last.
And companies are speaking out. In an open letter in the Washington Post, Babylist, the popular gift registry company, called for an immediate reprieve from tariffs on essential baby products. The call for help was signed by top baby brands, including UPPAbaby, Munchkin, and Frida.
The bigger issue here is that customers are going to be forced to go to a secondhand market, and a secondhand market for a stroller is fine. A secondhand market for a car seat is unsafe.
This seat is not touching the car seat because we don't want it to be wedged in there, so we can't move it off.
These products are necessities. Strollers and car seats are absolute necessities. These products exist to keep children safe.
You might be wondering, what are lawmakers doing about this? What's the White House doing? Well, yesterday at a congressional hearing, the Treasury Secretary did say they're considering carve-outs for baby products from the tariffs. But when President Trump was asked about this, he said he wants to keep things simple. He's thinking about it, but he doesn't want too many carve-outs.
This is the Aldi in Connecticut. I come here at least twice a week. I've been coming here for years and I have never ever seen any empty shelves. This is what it's looking like today, May 6, 2025. I don't know what to say.
I've got some bad news for US shoppers. Trump's China tariffs, you're about to feel them for real. You might still be seeing stocked shelves and stable prices, but don't get used to it. These tariffs are a slow-moving storm, and it's heading straight for your wallet. Last month, President Donald Trump hit Chinese imports with a 145% tariff. Many thought prices would jump overnight, but that's not how global trade works. Economists say it takes 20 to 40 days for cargo ships to cross the Pacific Ocean. Then there's another 10 days to unload and reach stores across U.S. cities. This means what you're buying now left China before the tariffs kicked in. But here's the thing. A third fewer ships are now leaving China for the U.S. Some orders were canceled entirely. This has experts saying that by late May or early June, you can expect higher prices, empty shelves, even job cuts in retail and shipping. Big retailers stocked up early, small businesses not so lucky, some already shutting down. So if your kids' favorite toys are gone, jeans cost more, or your Amazon delivery is delayed, that's not a glitch. That's the storm making landfall. Trump's tariffs won't just be in the headlines. They'll show up on your receipts very, very soon. Have you felt the impact yet? Let me know in the comments.
So this video literally has shown you who pays for the tariff. They have explained, and now you have to listen. The tariffs are coming, and you as a consumer, very soon you'll be forced to pay that extra dollar. You see those favorite products you like, those favorite products you see in the supermarket that you like, and they're affordable. Well, very soon you're going to experience empty shelves, or you're gonna realize your product is costing like 10 times what is normally being sold. Why? Because of the tariffs, and then you'll be forced to pay the extra dollars. Yes, that is the reality of how tariffs are operating. It's not countries that will pay, it's you, the consumer. So guys, tell me, how do you see this video? Do you have any comments? And what can you do about the tariffs? Simple. Just find alternatives way of earning money, extra income, so that you're able to cushion yourself during this tough time, because the tariffs is it's gonna be a while before they rectify this situation. So meanwhile, what you need to do is basically stock up the necessary products that you need for your family. Stock up. If it's your favorite brand and you're not seeing them, then go shop alternative brands that are available. Of course, some of them might cost a little bit of money, but just shop for now, because as time goes by, prices will go higher. You know what they usually say, when the demand is high and the supply is low, believe you me, prices will always go high, and that is the reality. And so far you will experience it, and time will tell whether these prices will go up or down. But in the meantime, the prices will go up because China is not doing business with America at the moment because of the tariffs. And America right now depends entirely on China when it comes to the manufacturing and of course exporting goods to America. So right now they're having this tit for tat war, and right now the people are going to suffer, of course, is the consumer, because you are going to be forced to pay extra dollar to be able to afford that favorite product that you like to buy. Yes, and this is the reality of how you voted. And this is not an issue where you are lied. No one lied, because when they went for campaigning during the election time, they said this is exactly what they'll do. They said that they're going to increase tariffs across the board. They are going to put tariffs so that they make America great again. And this is what they are doing, and they've made the promise, and now is the reality. Unfortunately, the people who are going to suffer are the common citizen, the people who are depending on their day-to-day jobs, the people who are depending on their paycheck. Because what happens is, when you have less products being sold in the supermarket, prices will go higher, and when prices go higher, it's the consumer who will be forced to pay that extra dollar to afford that product. And if the supermarket, they have very low sales, then they'll be forced to fire people, of course, have mass layoff, because what's the point of hiring so many people and the sales are too low? They'll not be able to pay them. That's the reality. And as a result, they're going to have repercussions across the whole America. When people are being fired from supermarket, then people will be forced, they cannot be able to afford, spending, and other sectors will also be affected, because it's not just about supermarket, it's about other sectors in America, because America mainly depend on in China products. So if you have mass layoff, what's going to happen? People will be hesitant to spend money. And of course, when there's less money being supplied in the economy, then recession will be knocking on the door. So this is the reality of what America is going to suffer. So in the meantime, what you need to do is just come up with ways you can earn extra income, have multiple sources of income, so that you're able to cushion yourself. Because believe you me, the rich, that is the multimillionaires and the billionaires, they're not going to feel the pinch. No, they're not going to feel the pinch, because their business, they can absorb these tariffs, and then they're going to pass that extra cost to the consumer. And that is the reality. If they're being told, oh, they have to pay extra money, they can afford it, because they're millionaires and billionaires. What about the common citizen who depends on the 9-to-5 job? What about the common America who depends on paycheck to paycheck? Those are the people who are going to suffer, and that is the reality. The middle class, lower, and the lower class, and of course the homeless people, those are the people who are going to suffer, and that is the reality. So please let me know what you think about this video, and drop your comments.